Today, we're going to be presenting our school anniversary project process about the reading program. These are all the points we will be discussing in this presentation.
First, let's talk about the key concept. Every single human has a different way of thinking due to their surroundings, the people around them, their influences. These make people believe in different religions, thoughts, and opinions. That's what we think about the key concept culture. Now, Claudia, can you tell us about the related concept, please?
Yes, of course. Moving on to the related concept, there are a few points we need to clarify. Context. As an effect of the social, historical, and cultural development we're having, we're somehow depending on the place we're living because it influences us to believe and make decisions. Purpose. For us as students, the purpose of communicating is mainly to discuss and share different opinions, to make us understand different points of view. Now, Belinda, can you talk about the global context, please?
Of course. Global context, orientation in space and time. I personally think that this is hugely related with the whole third term, since although during past decades our thoughts, opinions were changing mostly depending on the year we are. So let's say that the thoughts we could have on the 1980s are not the same as we have nowadays. Now I'm going to talk about the statement of inquiry. The statement of inquiry is basically the related concept plus the key concept and the global context. In this case, is writer use narratives to orientate the readers in journey through time and space, and to describe and reflect on the experiences of the travelers.
Now, talking about the questions of inquiry, we have three that are very important to analyze. Factual. I think this mainly wants to express how people nowadays don't really feel necessary to learn about past problems we were living with.
Conceptual. I personally think that migrant families need to find a real home because it's not good for children or their parents to move from one place to another because of many factors. If they stay in one place, they can start a whole new life.
Finally, the debatable. There are a few debatable questions we cannot surely answer or give a general opinion, because mainly that is why debatable questions exist. But in a general perspective, I can say that this kind of questions makes us have other perspectives to be open-minded. Now, what are the criterions we're using, Belinda?
Okay, we have four criterions. Criterion A, when we watch videos and discuss them in class. Criterion B, when we comprehend text, is basically reading. Criterion C, when we discuss orally and present our points of view to our classmates and teacher. And criterion D, when we discuss and write tasks. Now, Claudia, can you talk us about the ATL?
Of course. The skills we used this whole semester were research, when we research for information, thinking, when we reflect and think about different topics, communication, when we wrote our opinions, the other communication, our oral communication, and our discussions, self-management, our reflection, and finally, social, our group works.
Now here we have the rubrics we've been working. We have the rubric of criterion A, of criterion B, criterion C, and finally criterion D. We all want to achieve the 80, so that's why we put a lot of effort into our works.
Now, as you can see here, these are some platforms we have been using this whole semester, but mostly is Google Classroom. Then comes the digital book, and after the portfolio, where we have been completing our tasks.
Now I'm going to talk about rabbit-proof fence. The first time we saw and we listened about rabbit-proof fence was when Ms. Mercedes told us to read a review on our book, and after that, we watched a short trailer and discussed what was happening and why.
Every Aboriginal born in this state comes under my control. These children, the half-castes.
What is to happen to them? They cannot be left as they are.
Our task is to take them from their primitive world and teach them right from wrong.
Come for the three girls, Maud! Can't bring up in a black mouse again.
Okay. After we watched the trailer, we discussed and talked about the characters. This book is based on three main characters, Molly, Grace, and Daisy. These both girls were taken apart from their parents and placed them in a center that they feel like a prison. So they decided to escape from that place and go back home, hiding so no one could catch them again. When we finished understanding this review, we made a summary of what we understood. And after that, we researched about the author and made an original interview with a partner. And also we made an essay about the book. And we recently answered some questions about the marble. The criterions we used were criterion B and criterion D. Now, Claudia, can you talk us about trash?
Sure, but first, let's watch a quick trailer.
They were three friends
Work in the trash.
who found something that could change a nation.
After we saw the trailer, we started discussing what the book was going to be about. Then, we watched Andy Mulligan, the author, interview so we can analyze why he wanted to make this book. Also, they presented to us the main characters, but they did not give us clues of what it was going to be about, since that was something we needed to figure out. Nevertheless, when we started the reading plan with the audios, we were building and modifying our ideas more, due to the context we were in the book. As you can see, we were completing our portfolio tasks in help with the Miss Mercedes, and all the reading plan we were listening to. The criterions we used were also B and D.
Finally, let's talk about the inquiry cycle. These were the three steps we follow when we develop all of our tasks: is inquiry, action, and reflection. And last, we're going to talk about the metacognition. During this whole third bimester, we've been investigating many migration points that are very important to treat, since children were cruelly snatched from their parents, and many children are affected by the decisions of their parents in the past. And they end up abandoned sometimes in the streets, or their parents abandon them in a country where they have no idea how can they survive.
In our part, moving to the reading plan, we can say how we nowadays are learning the stories that are not told for many kids, suffering things no one, mostly a kid, shouldn't pass through. Also, we have learned how our third bimester is hugely related to the reading plan, making us realize how important for teachers is to make us reflect about these situations. Now, as you can see here, we were building a quick Kahoot which contains the mainly questions of our whole presentation.
Now we're gonna talk about the weekly planner and the process for make this work. On the first session, we made our group. We talk about the topic we were about to discuss.
On the second week, we started discussing what topics we were going about and organizing our ideas more.
On the third session, we researched on the digital notebook, on our portfolio, and also on the book and on the trash audios we listen for a reading plan to get important information that we needed to include.
On the fourth week, we started making our presentation, changing the templates, the fonts, and mostly just to put our speech so we can all organize what the most important ideas were.
And on the last session, we presented our work to Miss Mercedes and she gave us her point of view. And here are the APA sources we use for this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.